All right, Broncos country, it is officially that time of year. Training camp is kicking off here in Denver. Today, the Broncos rookies officially reported for training camp. That is 1 week ahead of the veterans having to report on July 26th. Training camp will officially kick off for the veterans on July 28th, and that is the first open practice to the public. I plan on attending virtually all of the open practices. I've got tickets to all but one or two of the practices, so I'm going to be out there pretty much every day at Centura Health Training Center. If you guys see me out there at Centura Health Training Center, don't hesitate to come up and say hi. I would love to chat ball with you guys. I'd love to meet as many of my subscribers as possible, so that would be absolutely awesome if you guys see me out there to come up and say hello. So overall, in this video, I want to preview the rookies this year and what to expect from them this season, and just overall what they're going to be going through the next week in anticipation of the veterans reporting for training camp. So obviously for the rookies, this is their first experience in an NFL training camp, so this extra week just allows them to get their feet wet and kind of get ready for what they're going to experience once the veterans arrive and once they officially start to get that camaraderie with the rest of the guys. Now, I feel like the rookies are probably not going to be worked too much in this period because we don't want to risk an injury, obviously. You know, with Sean Payton, he's going to want to make sure that the rookies have all of the minor details down during this period, so that's what I feel like this whole session is going to be about in this extra week before the veterans report and training camp officially gets underway. This is also a good opportunity for the Broncos to maybe hold a few tryouts, maybe bring in a couple of additional rookie players who have flown under the radar, have gone to a couple of rookie mini camps, I should say, but haven't gotten the opportunity that they're looking for, or perhaps a couple of veteran players who are still lingering on the street, maybe a veteran running back such as Dalvin Cook or Kareem Hunt or someone like that for the Denver Broncos. That's always a possibility over this period that the Broncos could bring in a couple of veteran players on tryout basis. I also wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos maybe brought in another kicker during this period to maybe compete with Elliott Fry, because right now Fry's the only kicker the Broncos have on their roster. And personally, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Elliott Fry as our week one opening kicker. So unless he goes out there and legitimately earns that in a competition, then I really feel like the Broncos made a big mistake bringing in just Elliott Fry. So I'm hoping the Broncos bring in another kicker during this period to give Elliott Fry some competition. So now, Broncos country, let's dive into the rookies and let's see where they anticipate contributing in year one. Now, an article that helped me out in this exercise comes from Mile High Report, so shout out to those guys over there. I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. All right, so shout out to Scotty Payne for this information here. Scotty talks about the anticipated role for each Denver Broncos drafted player, as well as 3 undrafted free agents who are expected to potentially make an impact in their rookie season. So let's start off, obviously, with our top draft pick, Marvin Mims. The Broncos traded up into the second round for the explosive wide receiver, and now he's competing for some playing time in Sean Payton's offense. Payne does not think he'll earn a starting job right out the gate, and that's pretty clear because he's got guys such as Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, and KJ Hamler ahead of him on the depth chart. But he does seem to be destined to contribute as a returner as a rookie, while also serving as a situational deep threat for the Denver Broncos. He's got that game-breaking speed that I really feel like is going to be utilized in some capacity this year. No matter how you look at it, though, Marvin Mims is simply too talented of a player to barely see any playing time his rookie season. Same goes for somebody like linebacker Drew Sanders, who was our second pick, who we drafted in the 3rd round. The Broncos selected the versatile and athletic linebacker out of Arkansas. He was an edge rusher at Alabama before transferring to Arkansas and moving to off-ball linebacker, where he had a breakout year for them. Now, he joins a linebacker room that has 2 veteran starters on the team in Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell, but Scotty Payne and myself believe that Sanders will find a way to earn some playing time in his rookie season. He's probably going to be a key special teams contributor at minimum, but I wouldn't be surprised if he steals snaps from somebody like Josie Jewell or Alex Singleton just because of what he brings to this defense. Sanders has earned high praise from both his teammates and Sean Payton, as well as the media. Praise is not easy to come by from Sean Payton, and let me tell you what, Payton was singing really, really high praises for Drew Sanders, so you have to imagine that that means something significant, and that Drew Sanders will see some playing time this year in a really significant capacity. Then there's Riley Moss, our second third-round pick, who we drafted out of Iowa. He's a talented corner who has high-end athleticism and ball skills and will be competing for playing time during training camp. He's got a chance to actually earn a starting role on this team alongside Pat Surtain. He's going to have to push Damari Mathis in order to do so, but given Riley Moss's raw skill set, I would not be surprised at all if he did indeed push Damari Mathis for that role. Then with J.L. Skinner, our sixth-round safety, he's somebody who has some question marks. He fell in the draft because of injuries, mostly a torn labrum that he suffered while training this offseason for the Combine. He fell all the way to the 6th round, but he was projected to be a day 2 or day 3 pick. He's a big and tall safety who will likely make the team and contribute on special teams while also providing depth at safety. It was announced that Skinner is going to be ready to go for training camp and he's not going to be placed on the physically unable to perform list. So that is a big, big development for the Denver Broncos. And J.L. Skinner, I definitely feel like is going to help improve the Denver Broncos special teams unit that was the worst in the NFL last year. Then our final draft choice was center Alex Forsyth out of Oregon, and Scotty Payne and I actually see Forsyth a little bit differently. Payne says, in the 7th round, the Broncos selected the Oregon center/interior offensive lineman. The interior depth here in Denver is not very good, which is definitely true. So Forsyth will come in and compete for a backup job, but there's also a chance for him to audition for the starting center job. Payne thinks it's going to be a little bit more down the road, but I personally feel like if Alex Forsyth comes in during training camp and blows the socks off of the Denver Broncos and Lloyd Cushenberry continues to underachieve, I would not be surprised if Alex Forsyth ends up beating out Lloyd Cushenberry for the starting center job. The guy we also can't forget about in that equation is Kyle Fuller, former Seahawks center who worked with Russell Wilson before. He's somebody who could also be pushing Lloyd Cushenberry. But at the end of the day, Lloyd Cushenberry is going to be given every chance to be the starting center. But if he continues to show that he can't play at a consistent NFL level, then I would not be surprised at all if Alex Forsyth was our starting center at some point in 2023. Finally, Scotty Payne talked about 3 undrafted free agents, and I really strongly agree with these 3 picks, and I feel like these are the undrafted free agents who have the best chance to make the roster for the Denver Broncos. The Broncos have a really strong history over the past several seasons of at least one undrafted player making the team. So it's going to be really interesting to see who that is this season, and it's going to be interesting to see if it is indeed one of those 3 players that are mentioned here. The first one is edge rusher Thomas Incoom. Incoom was a standout player at the Senior Bowl and was expected to be drafted according to multiple notable draft analysts. That did not happen, and he signed as an undrafted free agent with the Broncos. He's a powerful edge rusher who has a non-stop motor and has a real shot to make the team. Scotty Payne believes he'll be a preseason standout for the Broncos and at the very least make the practice squad if he does not crack the 53-man roster, and I could not agree more with this, because at the end of the day, the Broncos' depth at edge rusher is a little questionable. We've got a lot of unknowns there. So if somebody like Thomas Incoom can come into training camp and impress Vance Joseph, then I would not be surprised at all if he makes the team as a backup edge rusher for the Denver Broncos. The next undrafted free agent on this list is somebody that I've talked about quite a bit on this channel. You guys know that I love me some Jaleel McLaughlin, man, and I would not be surprised at all if he made the roster as a speedy, explosive change of pace back. I've talked about this in many videos now on this channel. The Denver Broncos still are looking to find that role in their backfield. Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine are a lot more predicated on being power runners, and we need somebody who brings a little bit more explosiveness in the way that they run. And I feel like it's going to be either Jaleel McLaughlin or Tyler Beatty who fills that role. I really, really like Jaleel McLaughlin as the dark horse in this situation, just because he is so explosive, man. You watch him on tape, he is a lightning bolt out there. I really like what Jaleel McLaughlin brings, and I would actually bet some of my own money that he makes the Denver Broncos active roster this year. Finally, another undrafted free agent that I really like, and so does Scotty Payne, is nose tackle PJ Mustipher out of Penn State. And he's got a really strong shot to make the 53-man roster as well because of the Broncos' somewhat lack of depth on the interior defensive line, especially at the nose tackle position. Mike Purcell is obviously kind of our main backup option to DJ Jones at nose, but I also feel like there have been some concerns with Mike Purcell about injuries. And due to this, I feel like PJ Mustipher could carve himself out a role as a backup swing nose tackle for the Broncos this year, and so does Scotty Payne. The rest of the undrafted free agents for the Denver Broncos include Taylor Grimes, wide receiver, tight end / fullback Nate Adkins, tackle Alex Palczewski, tackle DeMontre Jacobs, interior offensive lineman Henry Bird, edge rusher Marcus Haynes, linebacker Seth Benson, and cornerback Art Green. I also really like Art Green out of Houston. He's somebody who could potentially find himself a role as a sixth defensive back for the Denver Broncos, maybe carve himself a role out of the depth corner, something like that. Art Green is another guy to keep an eye on as an undrafted free agent who could make the team for the Denver Broncos. All right, Broncos country, we can officially say it now. Football's back in the Mile High City. I could not be more excited to finally get out to Centura Health Training Center next week, finally get to observe what this team looks like with my own two eyes, get to see all the changes that Sean Payton has implemented, and get to see what Russell Wilson looks like in his first year under Sean Payton. I could not be more excited to finally get out there for training camp, guys. The clock cannot keep ticking faster. I'm so stoked. All right, Broncos country, I'm curious. Out of all of the rookies for the team, who do you feel like is going to make the biggest impact in year one? I personally am going to keep an eye on someone like Drew Sanders, but I'm curious on your thoughts on this Broncos country. Drop those comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are two free and easy ways to show your support. It helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out to fellow members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, this has been another episode of Denver Broncos Syndicate. I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.